Hey guys, and welcome back to Grounds Family Farm. So I am back down here at the garden today. My goal is to finish weeding the rest of this pea patch, this row, because we've had a lot of rain. We had Vacation Bible School this past week. I wasn't able to finish it. And as you can tell, some of this is taller than me now. So my goal is to get this all done. That way we've got more rain coming. That way it doesn't just keep getting bigger and bigger and completely out of control, because I want to be able to get to these peas. The areas where I already weeded are so much better, and I want this to look like that. And in a little bit, I want to go ahead and pick what we've got, because it has been a couple of days since we've been out here. So I'm sure we have some zucchini and some squash. And a little bit later, I'm going to kind of show you one of the things that I do with some of that zucchini, because we've had to get creative with, different uses for it and that kind of thing. Also, we have some new babies, and I want to introduce you to them and let the girls help me with that. But first, I've got to get this tackled, because I really want to get it done before the rain. It's kind of getting a little bit warm, so I'm going to try to work quick. This area between the rows is kind of growing up a little bit again, but that's okay. And I'm staying on this side today so that I don't get quite as nasty, because over there in the dirt, it is kind of mucky. We've had so much rain. Just these last couple of days even have been pretty bad. Yesterday, we were able to get some of our mowing done, which needed to be done. But then after that, came into rest and it started pouring. It still comes up pretty easily because it is wet, but the only problem I have with weeding when it is wet is that as close as this stuff grows to the actual plant, I'm having to really make sure I pull dirt back over and support the plant. And some of these are really thick through here, so just got to be careful. It's a nice plant. There's some really nice ones down in here. I'm really happy for that, but they're all crowded over by all these terrible weeds. I can't wait to get to show you all the finished product whenever I'm done. And I hear some thunder rumbling in the distance, so I hope that stays in the distance and doesn't come over here close. If so, then it'll be yet another day of having to push this off a little bit. We weren't supposed to really have anything until this evening today, so hoping it stays that way. Told Kevin, I was like, when it gets this close to the end, it's a shame to have to leave it, because I'm very goal oriented, and start seeing this much progress and it's like, let's get it all finished. This is the downside to weeding when it's wet, is it's actually a little bit more taxing physically, just because it pulls up so much dirt. Because at least for Johnson grass, weeding other stuff when it's wet, it's not that bad. But Johnson grass is a whole nother level. Plus that, I guess I could say, have my workout in for today. I'm throwing it there in the middle on the other side, like I was doing before, because it just makes it easier. Well, good grief, yeah, I let these go too long. I wish I'd had time to get out there this week, because then I wouldn't be having to unwrap tendrils from it. And we did have several people on the last video in the garden that were asking if we were going to trellis these like we did the cucumbers. And the answer is no. Reason being, this row is over 300 feet long. The number of panels it would take to trellis this many peas, it's not very economical. So that is why we are not, and we don't trellis our peas, like ever, and they do fine. So not too worried about it, and they will be fine. And once I get all these weeds removed, it should be a lot easier to manage them also. And then you don't have to worry about them trying to climb things like the nasty Johnson grass weeds and stuff. Okay guys, the big reveal. Looky there. It's completely weeded. Now, we're definitely have to come through that middle of that row there and till it under, because some of those I think are still trying to grow where I'd pulled because it was such a big root ball. But yeah, looky there, it can be free now. And they're growing really well, even the ones that were covered up, but I definitely think the ones that I'd uncovered a while back are better. So I'm gonna go through here now. I brought a bucket with me so that I can pick and see what all we have. Okay, this is firm enough to stand on right now, so I'm gonna start down here. Still hoping that this is all firm. Ooh, I need to bring y'all a little closer so you can see something. We don't have to have glasses now because it's kind of darkened up some, but okay, so down here, well, you can see the watermelon plants. I need to kind of work on those some. Through here we have our butternut squash. Now we showed you the tiny ones, but looky there, there's a bigger one. They're growing. And look down in there. Looky there. It's a nice one too. We've got a bunch like that through here and still growing out. So that's why we made these rows so wide, so we would be able to actually have stuff. So come on down here now. Let's see what we've got. If we've got any, we have to pull these up. Okay, so like I said, it's been a couple days, so zucchini, a little on the big side. Good for zucchini bread, not so good for sauteing. Let's see, another big one. This one will be a one for the pigs because it didn't form quite right. Well, here's another one. This will be good for supper. Let's look down here now. That's a weird looking one. I don't know why they're forming weird like that, but look at that. Rather strange. Looks like that may be the only decent sized one that we have right now. Got several close we'd like tomorrow. I do know there's quite a few squash that were ready, or some anyway. There's a ton of blooms. So, just a matter of time. Oh, bug got in my shoe. Okay. It's a good size one. These are easier to see because they are big and white. Okay, so there's two. Oh. Okay, there's three. I'll put these in here now. Here's another. There's some tiny ones down in there. This white patty pan is unlike anything I've ever seen, that's for sure. I like the white though, because it really does stand out. Yellow does, but white's just neat. Okay, so there's more. I say that's a pretty good haul for today. I may take you over here and show you what the corn looks like, because we actually did have some come up finally after a lot of replanting. This right here is our recent replant of corn. Look at it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 4 rows. That looks great. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks wonderful to me, doesn't it, to you guys? And I'm not going to walk out there because it is mucky, but those are the giant plants that the girls planted. They are doing fabulous, and I'm really impressed with how well they're growing. I'm going to go over there and check for cucumbers now. Okay, I'm on the gator, so it's a little noisy, but I wanted to give you a little closer view of these giant ones. Let's see how much they're spreading out. They are massive. And then there's the sweet potatoes. They're holding their own. Definitely doing all right. Okay, so this is what we can actually expect the other end of the peas to look like. They are kind of spreading out a little bit, and that's okay. But here's the cucumbers. This beautiful trellis of cucumbers. They are already working their way over. Some of them kind of went through, it looks like. Yeah, but that's okay. It's still going to work out just fine. I love how thick these peas are because it's really choking out the weeds. I do need to bring the hoe or something through here. He talked about bringing the tiller, but I don't know if it'll fit with the peas the way they're spreading now. But yeah, they're looking good. Oh, looky here. Cucumber. There's another one. Another. And these are our just slicing and eating ones. We have some that are for pickling, and I don't see any of those right now, which is fine because I'm not quite ready to pickle yet. But have to get ready because look at all of the blooms on those. Yeah. It's another variety. I think this is the more compact variety. But yeah, these look fabulous and I'm really excited about them. So here lately we have been starting to get some things from our garden, but one thing we've been getting in abundance is zucchini. And the problem is that after all these rains, when we weren't able to get out in the garden and stuff, the zucchini kind of overgrew like this. So one of the things that I like to do with it that uses a bunch of it, but also is really, really tasty is zucchini bread. And I've actually sold this at farmers markets before. That's one of the things we eat like throughout the summer, and I'll actually grate up my zucchini and put it in the freezer so that I can make zucchini bread even during, later months or whatever. So I figured we'd make some today and show you kind of how I do it. So I've already cut the end off, I washed and cut the end off this one. We're gonna see if this is gonna be enough or not, but I'll grate it straight into a measuring cup when I do. Let's see. So I'm going to double this recipe because this recipe only calls for, makes 1 loaf, and might as well go ahead and make 2 if I'm gonna make 1. That's my thought process, because we will eat more than 1. And it's great for breakfast or whatever too. Yeah, I already had a 1/2 cup measure in there. So it's 1 3/4 cups, which would be 3 1/2 cups of flour. I'm going to use my einkorn wheat. There's 1, 2. Okay. There's 3 1/2 cups of that. Set that to the side so I got a little more space over here. I'll leave that 1/2 cup in there just because it's a little easier to do. Oh, that's stuck. Okay, I need a teaspoon now. I'm just gonna grab this one because it's got all the different sizes on it. Let's see. Teaspoon of baking powder, so that means 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I say this to myself so that I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm doubling it. Teaspoon of baking soda, which I want to put in a jar, I just don't find the time sometimes. 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, which would be a tablespoon of cinnamon. And I believe this is the same recipe that I've used in years past, but I don't know for sure. But this particular website is one that I've used quite a bit for other things, and I've always had good success with their recipes. So where's my nutmeg? 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, so that'd be a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. There we go. Alright, and then I want you to mix them together until they're combined and then set it aside. Alright, so there's that. Okay, now in this bowl, we're going to mix the oil, and let's see, oil, brown sugar, granulated sugar, eggs, applesauce, and vanilla. So there's my oil, which would be, calls for 1/2 cup, so it'd be a cup. And then I need it'll be a cup of brown sugar. So let me go ahead and open this up, since I'm make my own brown sugar. It's it doesn't just fall out like the store-bought stuff does, which is fine. Still tastes yummy in all my recipes. Almost there. I have to make some more after this. Getting a little bit low. I usually like to go ahead and use it up, and then whenever it's, I'll go ahead and unstick it. I usually like to use it all up in whatever recipe I'm doing and then wash my jar before I make some more. Put that bear back in there, keep it moist. Okay, so brown sugar. And then now, same amount of granulated sugar. So it'll be a cup total for us today. May eventually get some canisters for this stuff, just to make it a little easier. There's my cup. Alright, I always break them in something else before I put them in my main thing in case I get eggshells or something like that. Okay, 1/2 cup, it calls for a 1/4 cup, so it'd be a 1/2 cup of applesauce. And I keep these big things of applesauce here, mostly for the girls to snack on, but works out well for recipes like this. So there's my applesauce. And then it calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So that'd be 4 teaspoons, or 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. So I'll do 1 tablespoon. Plus a teaspoon. Okie dokie. Now we gotta mix this. So go ahead and do that. And then it wants you to pour the wet into the dry. Okay, this looks pretty well mixed. So now it's time to do the zucchini. So it actually calls for 1.5 cups, so that'd be 3 cups of zucchini. And this is so huge. Cut it down a little bit. And I do mine with the peel and all. You don't have to. But it's easy. It's easier to do it that way to me. I mean, it's good for you, so. Yeah, I will literally just scrape the entire thing. And one of these big ones is usually more than sufficient for a couple of loaves. So if I'm doing large quantities of zucchini, like to shred it up, which I have a bunch of zucchini right now, so I probably will, I will use my food processor because it has a shredding blade on it. For this amount, I didn't have to do that, but there's my 3 cups of zucchini. So now I'm gonna dump it into here. And with this recipe, like some of them, like if you're freezing it or something, then you will want to, I usually put mine in a colander and, you know, try to squeeze it out a little bit, make sure there's not excess moisture. For this recipe, it actually wants that moisture. So if you grate it and then stick it straight in, it's perfect, which is super easy to do. And I mean, that was like literally half of that huge zucchini. I could have probably made 2 more if I'd really wanted to right now, but I'm just making 2 today. Okie dokie. So now I'm supposed to pour this into here. Hopefully it all fits. If not, I've got bigger bowls. Be tight, but it'll work. I just like this bowl because it has a spout on it. So it's a little easier to work with. Mix all this together. It's starting to get there, but double recipe takes a little more effort to get it all mixed in, but you definitely want it all mixed in, otherwise it won't be good. And I always make a mess, no matter what I'm cooking. So I'm fully prepared to clean up afterwards every time. And the girls actually like zucchini bread too, which they really love a lot of the things from the garden. I mean, they like sauteed zucchini, sauteed squash. We started them out early with it, and Abby has tried really hard to like tomatoes. Just doesn't. I think it's the texture or something. But Izzy loves tomatoes, so they may not like everything that we have in the garden, but they are more than willing to help with it, and so this is one that they love, so makes me happy. All right, so I'm just going to kind of evenly divide this between my 2 pans till it looks about right. And I like to scrape everything off there because that's probably a half cup or more that's just stuck to the sides. All right, that looks pretty even to me. I'll show you what it looks like here in a second. All right, so there's 2 loaf pans with zucchini bread batter in them. I did spray the pans beforehand just to make it easier and make sure it all comes out the way it should, because I have forgotten to spray pans before and it doesn't always come out cleanly, but I want this to because it's gonna be good. Maybe good for like our breakfast this week, just good for snacks because it's a little, I mean, yes, it has sugar and all that in it, but it's homemade and whole wheat and it's got the zucchini in it, which is vegetables. So I think it's a good alternative. And like I said, it's really good, so the girls will keep wanting to eat it. But I'm going to put this in the oven now, and it says to cook it for 55 to 70 minutes. And you can loosely cover it with aluminum foil about halfway through to prevent the heavy browning on top. I'll kind of see what it looks like. I'll probably set it for 30 to start with. And then if it's getting too dark, then I'll go ahead and cover it with some foil. If not, I mean, a brown crust is really good with me. So we'll see, but I will show you the finished product whenever it comes out of the oven. Well, I baked these for about an hour and they came out looking really nice. The last like 10 minutes of it, I did go ahead and cover it with foil because I didn't want it to get any darker really. But to me, that looks really, really nice. So it said to let them cool for an hour in the pan, which I have. We actually just got back from church, so that was perfect timing there. But I'm going to loosen them from here, stick them on my cooling rack to go ahead and let them cool down some before we cut into them. So I like to make sure that they're nice and loosened so they don't rip off a chunk or something whenever I pull them out. All right, look how pretty that is. There's one. And 2. And they look pretty even, so I think that worked out pretty good. And like I said, they're still pretty warm, so we're gonna let them cool down. Probably by the time we finish eating lunch, we'll be able to slice into them and get to see what they look like on the inside. And I'll try to include some pictures of that in here as well. So now you can see one of the things that we do with zucchini, and I've actually seen some other recipes that I may want to try because as you can tell, we got a bunch of that overgrown zucchini and gonna have to find some creative uses for it. I will be freezing some, but for now, you know, I made the bread, so that's a good start. But now we're going to go over here to the mama pen to introduce you to our newest babies. I have a little footage of discovering them the other day, so I'm gonna put that in here while I head over there to the pen. So it's still early this morning, but Kevin was leaving for work and called me and said, hey, Nutmeg had her babies. So came out here to the pen. They have already been cleaned up and they are doing really, really well. We have 1 boy and 1 girl, and they look just like her, but they've got Johnny's moon spots. Really awesome. They're so pretty. Nutmeg, you do so good, baby. You do so good. But the only problem is that Miss Oracle, I don't know if it's because she lost one or what, but she has been trying to take over just a little bit. So we're just gonna have to keep an eye on that. So as you can see, those babies had a very quick entrance into the world, and then, like I said, we had to figure out what to do because Oracle kept taking them. The worst part was that every time Nutmeg would get over there close to them, Oracle would shoo her away, and she's older, bigger, all that. So Nutmeg kind of, I guess, listens to her, and she was just crying. The babies were crying. It wasn't good. I worked with them for a little bit and just realized, okay, got to move these guys because I had to work all day and I didn't want something bad to happen just by, you know, us leaving them and not doing anything to intervene. I know Oracle was feeding them. She was actually letting them nurse one at a time, not both of them. I don't know if it's, like I said, that she lost one or what, but best thing was to move them. It was like 6:30 in the morning, so I just scooped both babies up and I put a halter on Nutmeg and walked her over here to the mama pen, and now she's out here with all of these other mamas, and including her mama. Cicely is Nutmeg's mom. So gonna introduce you to the babies now. They're adventurous little things too, because they just don't like to stay put and they love to play, but they're always together, so if you find one you can usually find the other. Looky here.
I know.
Do you have the girl or the boy?
I have the girl. How you can tell is there's a white spot, and on him there's not.
Yep, so the girl has a white spot on her back, and little boy has all these moon spots but does not have a white spot on his back. But otherwise, they look very, very similar. He's also a little bit bigger than she is. But they are so stinking cute. And they definitely got their mama's color, that's for sure. Yeah, and there's Mama. She's calmed down a lot, and she has actually gotten pretty friendly since we had to intervene. I don't know if it's just like she's grateful, realizes, you know, that the intervention is what helped her. But she's a lot better than she was. Oh, is that where you had to spill some? Izzy was feeding these guys, and they were coming after her for some feed, so she had to drop a little bit to fake them out to make it over to the pans over there.
There's just a whole stampede of them.
But yeah, look at these babies. I just think they are adorable. Like I said, they are all over the place.
Yeah.
So we always have to look around for them, because the obvious place would be the hut, over by the hay bale. You know, that's where the other babies hang out, but
No.
not these two.
No, they're all over the place.
Yeah, they're just all over the place. Yeah, y'all are so sweet. And Mama keeps a watchful eye on them. And she is a very, very good mom. You always wonder sometimes about, like, first-time moms. Not her. Which Cicely's a good mom, too.
I love it when they hop.
I know. The hopping is so cute. Oh, you tell them to leave you alone right now? They're like, we want to eat. She's like, no, I'm eating.
Oh, it's hopping.
Yeah, the hopping is so adorable.
It's adorable. Adorable.
Goodness.
Oh, hi, Carmen.
She's like, y'all have had enough right now. Y'all can wait a little bit.
Oh, sweet.
Hey, Carmi.
Oh, sweet Carmen.
Coming over to be loved on. Apple's around here roaming around somewhere, because, you know, that's what Apple does. They run around with Colton, usually. Oh, and there's Boot.
Look at the little face.
You know, you have been in that mud pile, sir. You're kind of orange.
They like to just eat the dirt for some reason. I'm just like, what's in that dirt?
That's crazy.
It's dirt. Yeah, Apple and Colton, they're just like two peas in a pod. They're like best friends.
Well, they're both, neither one of them have siblings, and so they're just being each other's best friends now.
So cute.
So cute, buddy.
He'll be scrunched up, and it is the cutest thing.
And there's Bradford over there. He's eating like a big dog, so.
Sheep.
Oh.
I love the sheep.
Sheep's like, let me eat.
Sorry, little sheep, but you're so cute.
And there's Bailey. You know, her tail finally did fall off, but she is still fuzzy, unlike all these others. They're not fuzzy like that. She has a weird little fuzziness to her. Almost, it's like hairy. It's not really actually like wool, so I don't really know. Yeah, he's about heavy or bigger than you though, so. Uh-oh, can you get that duct tape? Somebody's got duct tape wearing off their horns. Oh, Jessie. We'll monitor and see if she sticks her head back through the fence, and if she does, then she'll wear that stuff again. But I think that's gonna about wrap it up for today. We got a lot done, and we've got some other things that we need to get to work on. So we are gonna go over and help Kevin with some things. But that's gonna wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed getting to come down to the garden and see what all we pick from there, and getting to see me make some zucchini bread. Like I said, I'll include some pictures of that at the end so that you can kind of see what the inside of it looked like, because I know it's gonna be tasty. But we're super excited about all of these babies, and I'm pretty sure Nutmeg's babies are the last ones that we know about for this season. Kind of bittersweet. We only got one girl out of this batch, but you never know what'll happen in the future. But please like and subscribe, and we will catch you next time on Grounds Family Farm. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye. Peace. Bye.